Welcome back. Another showdown between President Cyril Ramaphosa and his predecessor, Jacob Zuma, is set to take place in the Constitutional Court today. Zuma and his party, the MK, won the apex court to nullify Ramaphosa's decision to place Senzo Mchunu on leave of absence rather than fire him, as well as the appointment of Firoz Cachalia as the acting police minister. The MKP argues that these actions are invalid, unconstitutional, and claiming that the president exceeded his authority and failed to follow proper procedure. Newzroom Afrika's Ziniko Mhlaba is now joining us live from the Constitutional Court. A very good morning to you. Not the first time that we have a showdown between the former president Jacob Zuma and his successor Cyril Ramaphosa, and this time it has to do with the powers that the president has. Speak to us about what brought us to where we are currently.
A very good morning to you, Aldrin. It all started when the Provincial Police Commissioner in KwaZulu-Natal, General Mkhwanazi, made those revelations on that particular special Sunday. And he made allegations which led to investigation or consideration by the president, because in one of those allegations which were made by General Mkhwanazi, with the fact that, well, there's a serious involvement of top politicians in the operations of the South African Police Service, but it did not end there, saying that, well, that problem involves many other arms of government, including the judiciary and also the South African Police Service as a sector on its own, specifically the intelligence and, of course, that political killing task team. So after those allegations, the president was under pressure because a lot of public, members of the public, analysts, but also specialists and opposition parties politically, called upon the president to really take those allegations seriously. And indeed, the president, from his international trip, announced that he would be suspending or placing on special leave the current Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, but also further announced that a commission of inquiry would be set up to really probe the scale and the seriousness of these allegations, as I said, because these allegations, according to Mkhwanazi, involves various sectors, judiciary, the police, but also some senior members of the executive at the level of the ministry, specifically Minister Senzo Mchunu. So he did announce that he's placing Minister Mchunu on special leave, but also that he will then appoint an acting minister during the period in which Minister Mchunu is on suspension, and that is the Veds Law Professor Cachalia, and then further on announced that there will be an acting minister, in this case Minister Gwede Mantashe, who's currently head of the Mineral Resources Ministry as well. So all those things led to an action which was undertaken by the Umkhonto Wesizwe, which is an official opposition to the country, but also the former president of this country, who's a leader of the party itself, Mr. Jacob Zuma, approaching the highest court in the land to say, well, we do not believe that President Ramaphosa has the powers to do what he has done in terms of enacting those actions. So that is why we're here. But also what has been alluded to by the president himself in his response through his affidavit was that, well, he does have all those powers, and he made those decisions based on the constitution of this country, specifically Section 91 and Section 98. That is why he took those decisions. He needed to act. So today, the highest court in the land, the Constitutional Court, will have to really hear those arguments being tabled by the applicants, in this case, Umkhonto Wesizwe Party, and the second applicant is the former president himself, Jacob Zuma. When it comes to the respondents, the first respondent is the president himself who made those decisions, but also the people or the voices that are cited is the acting minister, Gwede Mantashe, also the minister who's on leave right now, Senzo Mchunu, but the incoming acting minister as well is cited, Prof. Cachalia. So all these people have been cited in these particular matters. So at the center of this, as you said earlier on, are the powers of the president. The president, though, argues that, well, this particular case is not supposed to be sitting here. This conversation is going to be held at the wrong court. He believes that, a high court would have the capacity and the jurisdiction to deal with the issues of the powers of the president. He's saying that the Constitutional Court cannot be, the first place, the first, stop for this matter to be heard, because it's not dealing with the matter of whether the president, is able to fulfill his duties as the head of the executive, as the president. He believes that if that was the conversation, the highest court on the land would be the perfect place. However, it's not about whether he is able to fulfill his duties or not. It's about his powers in terms of their extent, whether he has the power to suspend or to place on special leave a minister, and also appoint a person who is not a member of the National Assembly. However, that answer or that question can be easily answered, because the president does have the powers to appoint someone who is not a member of the National Assembly. At least 2 of those can be ministers. So it's a matter of, determining the powers and the extent of the president. So that's how we got here. So at about 11 o'clock, officially, the hearings will start, and the first applicant, the second applicant rather, Mr. President, the former President Jacob Zuma, is expected to come here as well. So in the next hour, we'll then get further details and share more arguments by the person who's been cited as the first applicant, President Cyril Ramaphosa, in terms of what exactly are his key heads of argument. What is it that how is he defending himself, and what is it that is likely going to be used as his defense, especially when it comes to those constitutional sections which he believes that are giving him those powers to do and fulfill and act as he had acted when it comes to those 3 decisions he took.